Greetings everyone, and welcome to this week's episode of the Weekly Challenges Guide. Now, if you're new to these, the Weekly Challenges are a series of races that are usually put together for that very week, consisting of 4 races that can already be found in the main game, with a 5th one specifically designed for that week that can't be found anywhere else. And the point of these guides is to give you an idea of these races, the race lengths, what car to use, the specifications, and at rare occasion, what tires even. So, without further ado, let's get into it. So we kick things off with the Sunday Cup Classic, and it's 2 laps around the Goodwood circuit in a road car. Now, seeing as this is a Sunday Cup, this is one of the easier races, so doing it in a stock machine will pretty much do. Now, as you can see, the opponent cars are usually classic cars, but you don't necessarily have to have a classic car. As you can see, there aren't really a lot that isn't allowed. So you can go as modern as today, you can go as far as something from the 250s. So, really, any car, as long as it's over the 350 performance points. So for example, I'm going with this BMW 3 CSL that I've wide-bodied and put various things on originally for a big race I was going to participate in. Now you don't have to do this, you can run something stock as well, but this is just a pretty good example of how wild you can pretty much go with this. And as for pointers, well, turn 1, obviously, depending on the car you choose, if it's stock, you want to set that up very carefully. And then of course the final corner is the tricky bit. You want to brake right about where that ends, and then very carefully measure out your throttle. So next we go to Road Atlanta for the American FR Challenge 550. And as you can see there, 550 PB, that's what your road car from the US needs to be. FR drivetrain, obviously. And obviously you can see that with the opponent cars as well. So, as long as it's a road car, tuned, stock, if it meets the 550 performance points, you can pretty much use it. And for this example, I'm going to go into my garage here, and I'm going to choose the other Mustang GT350R that I have tuned. This one is based on the last gen GT4 car that had previously competed in the Michelin Pilot Challenge. Now, of course, this being based on a GT4 car, naturally, it means that like the other Mustang, it has the Group 4 setup as a base. And as for pointers, turn 1, you want to set the car very carefully when you brake and when you accelerate there, because if you're a little too aggressive, you can easily go off. And obviously these sectors with the S's, you want to be very ginger with your throttle control and very precise with your steering there. It's all about momentum, so you want to be really careful and very steady. And the final corner is a very similar story, because it's very tight, left and a right, before you go uphill under the bridge. And now for the next one, which is the Evolution Meeting. Now, as detailed previously in one of these, this is only for Mitsubishi Lancer Evolutions, except for the Group 3 road car. So if you thought you were going to cheese it with that, unfortunately that's not the case. So this one takes place at Colorado Springs. It's a 4-lapper. And uniquely for this week, you will need dirt tires. So basically, as long as you have one of these models with dirt tires, you're good to go. So for this example, kind of just going on my gut here really, I decided to go for the Lancer Evolution Tommy Mackinnon edition. And as you can see, as I'm about to demonstrate here, obviously you can't do sports hards, you have to do dirt tires. So you can go right here, select dirt tires, and they're not really expensive. So you can snap those up pretty quickly, and then just go in here, put them on your car, and you're ready to go. And as for pointers here, well, this being a loose surface kind of race, it's going to be a little tricky and will probably depend on your skill level and preference. if you don't feel all that confident on these kinds of tracks, then maybe you'll want to tune, setup, and some parts stuff to help you pass other cars and so forth. If you're a bit more confident at this stuff, then honestly, at least as I'm demonstrating here, and I am far from one of the best, you could pretty much get this done with a stock car too. You just have to be very keen on how to basically set your car for passes and throw them around. Because the AI, even though they're in more powerful cars, they're kind of worse on dirt than they are on regular circuits, because again, they brake too hard, and often in areas where they kind of don't need to. So really all you have to do is be mindful where they are and set up your passes easily, and you can basically go right around and win the race in an otherwise stock vehicle. Next, the Hypercar Parade from Circuit de la Sarthe. 3 laps around here, and featuring, of course, all the most expensive and fastest hypercars there. Now, I would personally recommend something in the 700 to 740 pp range, because that's what seems to be the popular thing. And for me, granted, I'm using something that's a little bit harder to obtain, but I'm using the Ferrari FXXK. Despite it pretty much looking like a race car, it's somehow classified as a road car, and it comes with racing hards. So, if you have the money and the invite, I'd recommend you get it. And as for any pointers here, well, obviously, like I said, something 700 to 740 pp, because top end here is very important. You will likely do a lot of your passes on the Mulsanne straight here. So, having a car that can handle well, that you can control very well, and deploying all that power on the straightaway is really important. And that's where me recommending this car, or even the McLaren P1 GTR, if you can get that as well, will help you quite a bit. And of course, finally, we come to the special event race, and that is the return of the Deutsche Tourenwagen Masters, another surprise return after the Super GT one, and this time it's 8 laps around Monza. As usual, the usual AI cars themed after DTM, and of course, you can use that car if you want to. Now, you don't have to stick to the theme, but for my example, since I love me some themes, I'm pulling out the Alfa Romeo 155 2.6 once again, and also once again, everything bone stock, because frankly, I can pretty much take on the AI. And as for pointers here, mostly about the track here. Again, you can use any car you want, and in the same case as with the Hypercar Parade, I would just recommend something with large top speed, because you can get a lot of passes done on the straightaways and some of the fast sections like this. The AI are kind of pushovers, really. It's only in the chicanes and stuff where it can get a bit tricky, because they brake so hard, and they are really just kind of rather skittish on acceleration mid-corner or mid-exit. So anyway, that's it for this week's Weekly Challenges Guide. I hope you find this very helpful, whether you are new to this, whether you're returning to the game for the first time and are seeing these challenges here. If you like this video, give it a like if you like what I'm putting out, and subscribe, as I put these out every week. And I will see you guys next time.